Over the past few months or so, I've kind of been developing this idea, the idea to prove that individuality doesn't exist, and I'm gonna kind of walk through that. And what I mean by individuality is just distinct personalities, how every individual person has their own personalities, and what is the root cause of that. And the answer to what causes your personality has nothing to do with you yourself. It has everything to do with the environment and factors that you can't control. All right. So let's say my favorite color is blue. Why? I could say it reminds me of this, or I associate it with this. Like, it reflects my easygoing personality. Blue is a soft color. I guess it's a cool color, and I'm cool myself. So this is just an example. So that liking isn't actually a part of me myself. It's just from my experience and what logical associations I've created about my own identity. And that applies to everything. That, like, even music too. I don't know why I like certain genres. I just do. And okay, part of the reason why I like certain genres is because they reflect attributes of the life I'm living, but that what I'm experiencing in life isn't actually anything about me. I am just an observer through it, essentially. I'm not saying this to negate like responsibilities and that kind of thing, but think about it like this. You did not get to choose where you were born, your physical attributes. You don't get to choose who your parents were. You did not get to choose your social status or your financial status. You didn't get to choose any of it. You were forced into this world and you grew up with it in the certain neighborhood, whatever neighborhood you grew up in, and you were just exposed to a lot of external stimuli and patterns of thinking and interactions with others. And maybe you could say that the pattern of your brain also is a determining factor, but you also didn't get to choose that. So every aspect of your personality that you think is an attribute of yourself, you didn't actually get to control. So it's an illusion in that sense where you don't you don't have a personality, or you don't have control over your identity. So that's kind of the breakdown of that. I think it makes sense. If you disagree with me, please, I would love to hear your thoughts, because this is complicated. But then we have the issue of just running into the same tropes that we've put ourselves in. This is the thing about labels, because it's so easy to do, and I make silent judgments all the time about things that I don't know about, and I think I'm better in certain cases than other folks. But that is all an illusion of the mind. If you take a step back, all of this biases, it's I think it's just a way of coping with the world, because we're humans. We want to understand sort of the world that we live in. We kind of have to for survival. Although the focus is less on survival now and more just because we can, and I guess there's money, which is we invented money. Things aren't actually valuable. We just attribute value to them. And that's kind of the same idea with your personality, right? Like, all this is physical. All the things that you like and all the things that you like to do, they're just rooted in material. And when I mean individual, there's got to be something deeper than that, right? Like, the individual is essentially characterized by, well, would be by the essence of our souls, which, I mean, you could debate if that even exists, and there's no way to really quantify it or to prove it. So, at least not in this world. Maybe in the afterlife this shit makes sense, but yeah, that's the rundown. But it's not like I can just go on living without some sort of foundational ground to reality. There's still things that I think about myself, and I still have problems in my perception. Like, I still get like anxious and stressed, even though this is not like this doesn't actually have to affect me. People choose to be stressed and people choose to be anxious, and it's kind of an automatic feeling. But if you have like insane willpower and a super deep rooted understanding of how these systems and these ways of thinking and feeling are taught, that they're learned behaviors, that they're not actually fundamentally a part of us, then you should have a better job of taking yourself outside of those feelings and outside of that perspective, and that'll allow you to just to do anything, essentially. So I think depersonalization and derealization, sort of disassociating from reality, is could be a good thing. Gets you thinking about the bigger picture, and if it means anything. I think this idea probably is not the most accepted because American culture, I guess Western culture, maybe not in Europe, but where I'm from, the Western culture, there's such a heavy influence on the self and the individual. It's all about the comforts of the world and the pleasure seeking thrills that the West can provide. That's kind of the main focus. And there's also like culture wars too, where people take a stance and point fingers. Although that's kind of not new. That's not characteristic of the West. It's characteristic of human history. But that just goes to show what happens when you feed the ego, and when you subscribe to the idea that you are something, that you have a set path, instead of just being conscious and aware of just aware of the conscious experience and the understanding that others are the same thing, even if those people don't understand that they're even if those other people attach values to themselves and think that they are like a unique individual. So yeah, that I hope that made sense. That's kind of it. I still fall into the same patterns of thinking and feeling. I'm trying to disassociate from that, but yeah, I think that's just kind of a barrier that we all have to deal with, and some ascend and some don't, and maybe some are stuck in the middle, but I don't know. So yeah, everything you think you know about yourself doesn't actually have any basis or valid merit to it. So have fun with that. If I were you, I would just accept it and, look at the bigger picture. But what do I know? But yeah, interesting idea. I like it. So thank you to all of the contributors who contributed to this idea forming in my head, which is manifested in this video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and yeah.